G'day everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel. So with the AAMI Community Series done and dusted, in today's video I'm going to showcase 10 players who really caught my eye over the span of those games. Of course, with AFL preseason, the top tier players tend to not really go on 100% in games, which allows for the youngsters and unproven players to really show what they're worth. And with a great performance in preseason, hopefully carry that on to have an excellent 2022 campaign. Of course, there's more than 10 players who really impressed me, fellas, but I'm just going to go over the 10 who really caught my eye in today's video. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, that'd be much appreciated. And let's get into my list. So fellas, in no particular order, the first player I've got in today's video is Daniel McStay. This guy was very impressive against the Doggies. Playing in that centre half forward role with 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐸 𝐻𝐿𝐼 at full forward, he kicked 2 goals, 13 touches and took 7 marks. And I was just really impressed of how he played in this game. Positioning was excellent, he was always around the footy when the ball went forward. And for me, McStay is one of those really underrated players who, if he plays well, the whole team plays well. And with Hewett out especially, he's a real asset to that side. His marking was probably the best thing throughout the whole game. Took some excellent contested marks, kicking 2 goals, 3 as well. Very nice in the centre half forward position. And yeah, he's just a player that really caught my eye. Obviously with Hewett out, that's the main thing. McStay comes in, and alongside 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐸 𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻 and Charlie Cameron, he's a player that really needs to step up if the Lions want to be a true menace in 2022. Next player in this video, or should I say 2 players, I'm just going to pretty much put these 2 in a package. I've got Matthew Kennedy and George Hewett from Carlton, both excellent displays against the Melbourne Demons. Kicking off with Matthew Kennedy, one of those players who snuck into the 22 throughout the second half of the season. The question was on people's lips throughout the preseason and the off-season, will he be a starting 22 kind of midfielder with new acquisitions like Hewett and 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻 and Cripps possibly coming back to his best? Turned out he did start against the Demons Thursday night and he absolutely bossed it with 36 touches. Not only that, he kicked 2 goals too as well, both goals being quite excellent. 135 AFL fantasy points, took 9 marks as well. He was just all across the ground. And for him to be kind of on that verge of the starting 22, sort of not the highest expectations for him to perform like that. Hopefully that is a good sign that he could be a truly unsung hero in the AFL for 2022. And the next player, George Hewett, obviously came across from the Swans. As soon as he made the switch to the Swans, I was like in my head, this is going to be a really solid signing for Carlton. I bet you that he will be a solid acquisition simply because he's a strong, underrated, just goes in hard inside midfielder. Something that the Blues really need, you know, when Cripps isn't playing his best. And he showed it in that game. He only took 2 tackles, took no marks, but every time he got it, he used it well. 33 touches, really impressive display, and I feel he'll be one of the recruits of the season if he keeps it up like that. Next up on my list today, we've got Aaron Naughton. Excellent display against the Brisbane Lions, kicked 3 goals, 12 touches, 6 marks, as he always does, takes a lot of marks every game. And when Naughton is on song, he's just such an enjoyable player to watch, as he was on Friday night. He always sparks ideas in my head of him being possibly one of the best key forwards in the next few years. He has such a high potential. His only con is really his set shot, but that's good, you know. Apart from set shots can be improved, of course. Apart from that, very athletic, always flies highly for marks. A very versatile play too, great below knees. And also a massive factor into him having a great year is the absence of Josh Bruce. We'll isolate him a bit more, but that's what he needs. He can just simply fly for marks, bring the ball down into contest. He can do pretty much anything as a key forward. Of course, as I just said before, set shots could obviously do a bit of work, but apart from that, he is a dream key forward to have. And I believe, yeah, he can be one of the best in the coming years. But yeah, definitely a player that caught my eye against the Lions. Next play in today's video, and this is one of the best plays in the Community Series, fellas. He was magnificent against the Hawks. I've got Balta. Of course, we all know Damien Hardwick is a fantastic coach, and I think he has shown that he is one of the best coaches in the AFL after what he did in the off-season. Bringing in Robbie Gregory, an experienced key defender from North for absolutely nothing, and having the ability to move Balta, who can play forward. He was drafted as a key forward, moving him as a forward, and what a display he produced against the Hawks. Playing mainly as a key forward, had 19 touches, 7 marks, kicked 3 goals, and they were very impressive goals too. I think one was on the non-preferred, but he wasn't a sitting duck on the half forward line, that is for sure. He was literally all across the ground. He was going up in ruck, saw him a bit on the half back line, coming back to help out as a high half forward. And when he was in attack, he was just very versatile, very elusive, great below the knees at ground level. He just did so many things well, and I just cannot get over how good of a move it was from Damien Hardwick to move him to the forward line, because you notice the backs is quite good now with 𝐓𝐴𝐞𝐿, Grimes, Broad, Robbie Tarrant in now too. And heck, he could be one of the real players to watch if he continues to show what he did against the Hawks in that forward position. Next player on my list today, we've got Josh Rachele. What a performance it is from the top 10 pick of last year, kicking 3 goals against Port Adelaide. And geez, he was a player that really caught my eye. Pick 6 in last year's draft. Was just a very lively player across the ground, playing as a high half forward at most times. Of course, kicking 3 goals as just mentioned before, but also he laid 9 tackles. And for him to do that as a first year player, he's a player that just wants it really. And of course, he's going to be a lock for round 1 for the Crows. So yeah, for me, Rachele was a player that was very impressive in that Adelaide-Port Adelaide matchup. And with performances like that, who knows, he could be a Rising Star winner at the end of the year. Next player on my list today, I've gone for Archie Perkins. For Essendon, produced a very nice display against St Kilda, kicking 2 goals, 17 touches, 2 marks and 4 tackles. And the reason why I did truly put him in is not because of just this game only. He also had a really excellent performance against the Doggies in the practice match the week before. And I've decided to combine those 2 performances together, and that's why I have him in today's video. Just looks like a very nice, nifty half-forward player, can play a bit of midfield, and he could truly be one of the underrated players for Essendon and the AFL this year. He kicked his 2 goals in the last term, but throughout the game he was just using the ball very well when he had it, was creative, he was tough, he was smart with it, and overall produced a very promising spell against St Kilda. And he's definitely a footballer who I'm going to keep my eye on throughout 2022. Could be one of the rapid improvers of the competition. Another player who caught my eye was Stephen Coniglio. Had an excellent performance against the Magpies with 120 fantasy points, 27 touches, 10 marks. He was all over the park for the Giants. Cogs is definitely one of the players to watch in the 2022 season, with just having a fall from grace with the past 2 seasons he's had. An All-Australian calibre player and finished very highly in the Brownlow medal in 2019. His past 2 seasons have just consisted of inconsistency and injuries. Of course, throughout the off-season and pre-season for this year, questions have been raised of can he get back to his best, and I feel after the performance he produced against the Magpies, I definitely reckon it is a chance. It is definitely a mixed opinion of will he get back to his best. Some people say yes, others say no, but I feel since he's just accompanied with just such star midfielders like Kelly, Tom Green, Tintoretto, Cal Ward, Jacob Hopper, Coniglio truly has the luxury of working with these star players and improving his game. He was tough at the pill and used the ball very nicely in most situations, and I just personally feel that that was a really good performance from him, and it's just showing signs that he could possibly get back to his 2019 best for 2022. Next player on my list, I have got 𝐼𝐴𝐴𝐿 𝐻𝐻𝐸. Of course, we all know last Wednesday he signed a massive 6-year deal for the Swans. Very good. It's now we know that he's a Swan for life. But the most important thing we've got to focus on is now, since he's been received this 6-year contract, this is an indication that he really needs to take his game to the next level. Because of course with 6-year contracts, they are typically reserved for the really top tier players, showing that they deserve the money that they should be given. Of course, 𝐼𝐴𝐴𝐻𝐻𝐸 is definitely a star, but he's kind of in that tier where he's not exactly top tier, but he is in that good tier, and he still has that unfulfilled potential where he can really take his game to the next level. So now the Swans are paying the big bucks with Heeney's 6-year deal, and they really need to make this man one of the best players in their team, and possibly one of the best in the AFL in the next few years. And from what he produced against North Melbourne on Sunday, it was a really good indication that hopefully he is definitely worth the 6-year contract. Heeney is of course a powerful midfielder forward, and he showed that with kicking 4 goals, having 100 AFL fantasy points, 17 touches, 7 tackles and 4 marks. Heeney in my eyes is never going to be the player that will get, 35 plus touches each week. He's never really going to have a massive engine or keep on running all day like the high quality midfielders, but I can definitely see him as a powerful midfielder / forward who's a true line breaker, and this is hopefully a good start what he produced on Sunday. Heeney did all the things that are his bread and butter against North, took some excellent marks, was always very handy on the scoreboard, very accurate, not kicking a single behind. And 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼 Heeney is a player that really caught my eye, and let's hope he's worth that 6-year contract over the years. Next player who really caught my eye on my list today, I have got Tim Kelly. Produced a fantastic performance against Fremantle. Very similar to Stephen Coniglio as mentioned before, he's sort of a player, Tim Kelly, who has definitely fallen from grace over the last 2 years. Being an All-Australian and an AFL-CA Young Player of the Year award in 2019, he decided to make the move west to Gold Coast in 2020, and so far for the Eagles, he's just been very lacklustre. And considering that now the Eagles have a lot of key players out of the side, there's 𝐷𝐬𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼 and first round pick Campbell Chesser out, they have, a lot of possibly their best players out of the side, and this is now the opportunity for Tim Kelly to show what he did in those early years of his career and be a top tier footballer perhaps for the Eagles. And from what he displayed against Fremantle, hopefully this is a sign of good things to come for him. He had 32 touches, kicked a goal, 110 fantasy points, took 4 marks and had 2 tackles. So with half the Eagles midfield out with injury, this is a really good opportunity for Tim Kelly to blossom. So fellas, I might as well add in an 11th player just so I have a player from each game that caught my eye, and in the Gold Coast and Geelong game, a player that really did impress me was Jack Lukosius. Now I know he only had 9 disposals and 59 fantasy points, but how I look at this player when I watch him play is, for me, he just looks like such a point of difference in the Suns forward line. Of course, with star Ben King out and Jack Lukosius being moved forward, he's now a player that has a lot of pressure on himself with the absence of Ben King. Although there's very nifty players like 𝐵𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿 and Ben Ainsworth, and he also kicked 4 goals and he played fantastic too, let's not forget about that. It will definitely give Lukosius a bit of assistance throughout the season, but he caught my eye in this game because I was really interested to see how he'd go without Ben King. And he was a very effective player in their forward line against the Cats, kicking 3 goals and taking some very nice marks with 6. He didn't play the last quarter and a half because he had cramps on his hamstring, I believe, but he's definitely going to be a player that I'll keep an eye on throughout 2022. So everyone, there are 10 AFL players that really caught my eye during the 2022 AAMI Community Series. As said earlier in the video, of course there are a ton of players that really lit up in the games last week. And make sure to comment down below and tell me who really impressed you during the 2022 Community Series. But anyways fellas, that is the end of today's video. If you went on to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, that'd be much appreciated. And I'll talk to you later fellas. See you later.